I want to present this morning not just the views of myself or my immediate organization, WINFA, but also the views of a group of farmers' organizations from the Caribbean and Africa.
When Jermaine and Renwick Rose gave birth to their first child, Renwick Ellsworth Adrian, little did they know that he would one day be seen by many as a great leader and in some circles, a savior. Renwick attended the Kingstown Methodist Primary School and was one of the few who passed the entrance exams and gained a spot at the prestigious St. Vincent and the Grenadines Boys Grammar School. Renwick preceded the birth of 5 other children, Tony, Fern, Conley, Dexter, and Clint, and like every firstborn, he was the next in line of authority. Baby brother Dexter, now St. Vincent and the Grenadines' ambassador to Cuba, remembers calling his brother's name at nights to ask him to turn the lights on in the bedroom the young Roses shared. And according to Dexter, he has always been turning on the lights for his little brothers in so many ways. He continues, "The politics may seem obvious to those who do not really know him, but my exposure to great journalism came from his endless stacks of newspapers and magazines from all over which were ever present." With no biological attachment to Renwick, attorney-at-law Jomo Thomas feels as if he were one of the Roses clan who has benefited from the stern but gentle guidance of their elder brother. He also credits his short stint in journalism to the humble pioneer. As a matter of fact, he considers Renwick to be one of the pivotal people in his life.
I was fortunate to meet him when I was very young. I was in high school at the time, when in St. Martin's Secondary School, when I met him. I was invited to an organization called the Organization of Unity and Rights of Students. It was an organization that collected students who were fighting for democratization of high schools, student governments, and so on. And I met Renwick Rose, and I must say that in those days, I did not meet a more profound thinker. When you thought everything was finished and all the discussions had been concluded, if and when Renwick Rose opened his mouth, you would know that there's another angle of something that we had not seen, we had not looked at.
Experimenting and searching for an identity are phases young adolescents go through, and Renwick was no different. During this period, he had even acquired a new name, one to reflect his newfound identity, Camara. A number of his peers also copied their mentor. His love for defending the rights of his fellow Vincentians and his seemingly obsession with raising the consciousness of people was something his parents were hoping he would get over, but he never did. Actually, his mother Jermaine has always secretly hoped that he would have continued with his early devotion to the Anglican Church. Comrade and friend for over 40 years, Justice Adrian Saunders says Renwick has been an advocate of social justice in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and often at a great personal sacrifice. He writes, in particular for the causes of workers, farmers, the poor and the disenfranchised. As an organizer, political activist, newspaper editor, and social commentator, he has been the lifeblood of several different organizations, all aimed at promoting democracy and improving the lives of Vincentians. One readily recalls, for example, the leadership role he provided to Vincentians, who were disposed to demonstrating their solidarity with the anti-apartheid struggles. Renwick has had many relationships and affiliations during his lifetime. Relationships with people, with organizations, and affiliations with ideologies. 2 of the most serious relationships in his life produced 4 beautiful children, Nale, Kafi, Zani, and Fidel. One even gave him a life partner, and Selma.
I remember when he first became employed as the program officer of WINFA, he was very unsure in terms of what he's supposed to get involved in, because it was a new area for him. Because other than before getting involved in the farmers' movement, he was more involved in the politics of the country, as well as getting the being a journalist. So it was a new area, and you could see the sort of uncertainty in terms of even his work in those early period. But he jumped right into it.
However, there is one particular relationship he has in his life that seems to take most of his focus, even sometimes to the detriment of his health.
For the long hours that he spent negotiating on behalf of farmers in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, I think most people do not know Mr. Rose. They don't know the real Renwick Rose. They see a Renwick Rose that goes down the road, but they do not know the depth that Renwick will go for people whom he seeks to serve. And that is really, really what I know of Mr. Rose. And I have high regards for him, very, very high regards for Mr. Rose and the work he have done in the farmers' organization. I mean, he's not selfish. If he can't make it to a meeting, then he finds somebody to send to that meeting. And sometimes, even though he's the one who's supposed to go, he will allow the opportunities for somebody else to go, so that they could be exposed to a level in their own life that will enhance their life.
Renwick joined the staff of the Windward Islands Farmers Association, WINFA, in November 1989. His first job description was that of program officer. His appointment to that organization has been deemed by board member Steve Maxime as a fulcrum upon which the farmers and rural communities of the Windward Islands have leveraged improved standards of living and international recognition of the fruits of their labor. For decades, Renwick has been the coordinator of the Windward Islands Farmers Association. It is no exaggeration to state that his efforts and leadership were crucial in rescuing the livelihoods of thousands of banana farmers. Many view WINFA's success as a farmers' organization, now certified fair trade producer, through the persistence, vision, and old-fashioned hard work of Renwick.
He has really made a serious transformation where WINFA is concerned, because now he has moved WINFA from just being an organization that used to deal with little exchange between Canadian youth farmers and the Caribbean youth farmers to a world-renowned organization, because you go to Europe and you speak about WINFA and anything regarding trade issues, and people know of WINFA and its work.
When Mr. Rose and I began to work together in fair trade, Mr. Rose allowed me to carry fair trade, and he would advise me from behind, but he put me to the front. At that time, I was the interim chairman of WINFA, and I had done several negotiations on behalf of WINFA just because of Mr. Rose.
A love of Juve, it is always his delight to disguise himself for that one moment and jig down back street to the sweet music of his favorite instrument, the steel pan. Being the true regional patriot that he is, it is obvious that the cultural product of the Caribbean islands would have his fullest support. The Professor, Lord Kitchener, the Black Stallion, the Mighty Sparrow, the Mighty Gabby, and Desperado Steel Orchestra are among some of the regional cultural icons that have caught his attention. This little giant has walked through the streets and many lives throughout the region, leaving footprints on a lot of shores.
You can meet Rose on the road, Renwick Rose, and you wouldn't know who he is. He never give you any aura of who he may be or what he has done. And the simplicity with which he approach you or talk to you and even address any topic is one which I admire.
It amazes me how Mr. Rose can address any topic, whether it's politics, economics, social life, family life, anything. And I believe that is the reason why many organizations, not only in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, but internationally, they invite him to do conferences and workshops, meetings, because they realize that his capabilities, he can address any topic.
Renwick, your example of real humanity is needed more than ever, and all those who have met you have been touched by the way you put it into practice. Together we have been trying to build an alternative that reflects our deeply held values. One day, we shall indeed overcome. Not one for the limelight, Renwick can be compared to a knight in shining armor, a man who holds deep and true to the philosophy that honesty is the best policy. A man, though shy, will convert into the roaring lion when necessary to defend what he truly believes.